So shall we start? Hello, everyone. Coming from the previous panel, I'm going to do a basic rules. My name is Iryna Pulvas. I'm going to be moderating this panel. We are clapping to our speakers. Are you fine with that? Thank you. And the rules are the following. Short presentation. We are here for an open, bold discussion. We have a very, very nice and sensitive panel today. So, let's start. We're going to start from the first speaker. Oh, Janina Ochojska. She's joining us online. Hello, Janina.
Hello. Hello for everybody. I'm very sorry that I cannot be with you in Rzeszów. Nope, I got the flu. Shall I speak Polish or English?
Please keep the English version.
English,
Thank
okay.
you.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, once more. As I said, I got the flu, so I cannot be with you. But it is good that there is internet, which gives us great opportunities. I would like to give you a picture of what we are dealing with. In post-conflict scenarios, the greatest importance is attached to the reconstruction of infrastructure, which is, of course, very important. But in these large projects, a single person or a family as a social unit dies. As the founder and president of Polish Humanitarian Action, I was present in many countries, both during and after the conflicts from Bosnia, Chechnya, and so on. So when we talking about post-conflict scenarios, the effects of major natural disasters must also be taken into account because they are very similar to the effects of man-made conflicts. Destroyed infrastructure, displaced people, loss of sense of security. The return to normality is in which people, families can develop and work, children can be educated, and the region or country can stabilize, takes a long time. I just want to draw your attention to the situation on an individual or a family, as the title of the debate suggests. Even the witnesses of the Second World War are still alive, and they testify to the enormous trauma. What to speak of the victims of the war in former Yugoslavia, who passed their trauma on to their children's generation. Many Syrian children have been out of school for more than 10 years. What will be their future? What opportunities will open before them? So they are problems that need to be solved. And how many decades, imagine, will it take for the traumatic experiences of Ukrainians to allow them to return to normality? The war in Ukraine will certainly change a lot in women's lives. Already changed. Young girls fight, women take care and the responsibility for this is the experience of women from Bosnia, Chechnya, Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, and so on. So they are countries where even in the post-conflict situation, women continue the actions during the war. Irrespective of the country in which the conflict took place, its nature, how long it lasted, and the many cultural elements, common needs can be identified. Return home after forced or voluntary displacement, social assistance in reorganizing the family and the larger social life, and psychological assistance, which is generally insufficient. How are families and children in Ukraine supposed to deal with trauma? Psychological support and any kinds is necessary, available for all ages and statuses. This is always the weakest point of post-conflict actions. Second thing, in post-conflict processions, which is important, it is durability and long-term distance of actions. I hope that in case of Ukraine, we will be able to afford a long distance. And in the end, I would say something about a very important issue. This is another effect of wars, and we don't think about it very often. It is an increase of infertility, as can be seen from many wars. So when this cruel war ends, when many families will be left without father and husband, the situation of women will become even more difficult.
Pani Janina,
Therefore,
I have to stop you
necessary
in the
to
respect of
support
time. So sorry.
and enable women to work. It's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would kindly remind everyone that we have a short introduction of yourselves. Let's take 2 minutes and then go to the discussion. So please, Anton.
Hi, my name is Anton. I represent a project and a charitable fund at the same time. It's called Childhood Without War. We are into a most important business, in our opinion, is that we are evacuating children that are orphaned, that have been orphaned or became orphaned once the war began. And at this stage, our goal is to gather as much information about how to upbring, how to give them education, how to deal with post-war stress. And when the war ends, which is always true, or is always end, we'll bring that onto a governmental level so that it will become a best practice, studied and thoughtful process to help children who are in the most countries, in most places, are most neglected, but at the same time, those children are at most very talented and very gifted. So we would like to help them to adjust, to be a part of society, and to be a basis for our new country and new society.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Quick question to you, Anton. Would you say everybody has a microphone? Okay. Just to remind you. So please feel free to take it. How many children were already evacuated?
Okay. At this point, we have evacuated over 2,700 children, and we're planning to evacuate 1,000 more. And that's what we think. They all are coming back once the war ends, and that would be our basis for further practices, to work with them, to bring that to a statewide matter, to a statewide level.
Do you have any data or statistics how many kids became orphans since the beginning of war?
I don't think so. I do not have such information, but all I can say is war is always that cruel that it leaves a trail of orphans and poor children that are the lack of education, lack of upbringing, and those require full attention of our grown-ups.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now the woman has the same name, so it's very easy. Irina,
Thank you. Hi everyone. My name is Irina Costache. Thank you, other Irina, for introducing me. I work for an international organization. It's called Community Organized Relief Effort, also known as CORE, also known as the Sean Penn Foundation. We've been on the ground responding to the Ukrainian humanitarian crisis ever since the first weeks of March. We work in 3 different locations, and here in the room I have my colleagues. Colleagues from Poland, they respond right here in Rzeszów. They've been here since March, and they've been doing amazing work. That's on that side of the room. On the other side of the room, I have my colleagues from the Ukraine team. They're based in Kiev, but visiting Rzeszów and Poland. And I'm based in Romania, and I'm responsible for the programs that are taking place there. A little bit to give you a sort of context of why the programs in Romania have a gender focus that I think somehow has to do with me joining the organization. I've spent my youth in women's rights organizations. I've worked with women's rights organizations in Poland and in Ukraine as well. I was talking to my colleague panelists that I visited Poland Ukraine several times before the war, doing and engaging with women's rights groups. In Romania, we work through partner organization because we believe that they have the expertise and they can provide quality services. And more to the point of today's discussion, we have tried to support women's rights organization that engaged in a humanitarian effort. One of our flagship programs, so to say, we've been partnering with the Independent Midwives Association. This is a midwifery association that provides quality medical health care for Ukrainian women refugees. And the particularity of their service is that they hire Ukrainian translators who can then mediate the relationship between the patient and the doctor. It's we are talking here about very sensitive medical consultations. It's about gynecological consultations. It's about neonatological care. It's about birth. And these are critical moments for both women and children, critical moments when, cultural differences can sort of impact the well-being of mothers and children. That's one project. In the future, we've started another initiative, and that is to support Ukrainian-led organization, and I really hope that we can continue to engage in that work, because I think that's a way in which we can build skill in Romania and transfer it over to Ukraine. And that's it. I'm stopping.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Svitlana.
Hi, everybody. My name is Svitlana Osipchuk. I'm with World Childhood Museum in Ukraine, working as a project director. Our institution was founded in Bosnia, in Sarajevo. Since 2017, we have a permanent exhibition there. And since 2019, first researcher in Ukrainian researcher started working in the field in Ukraine. What we did since that time, we are collecting interviews, oral history interviews with our questionnaire, asking children or teenagers or young adults about their war childhood experience. It was first our interview were mostly in the east of Ukraine or in Crimea. Now, unfortunately, we have the whole country or even abroad. For example, there are many big refugee centers now everywhere around the world. In Poland especially, it's a big country who helped Ukrainians a lot. And since February 2024, we focused mostly on empowering and improving resilience of children, because we decided that our research part should be paused for a little, because many people asking children many questions. So we decided that we maybe take some time to, focus on other things, helping children to find powers for themselves in this very horrible sometimes situations. So we're working on that, and we of course will renew fully our research, I hope soon. So as for now, we have again, I guess 170 interviews in our collection, and also with each interview comes an object, which is somehow was important for a child during his or her war child experience. And before February, we already made 2 exhibitions in Ukraine, and the last one was finished. We were in Kherson in January and February this year. So we were working on we were talking to the audience on the importance of representing a childhood experience to the public, and then everything else happened.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all you're doing. I think it's very important. Maryna, please. Be as fast as possible.
Okay, I will try. My name is Maryna. I am a head and co-founder of NGO LADA. Our organization cares about women after childbirth. So we have been working for more than 4 years, creating opportunities and conditions for postpartum recovery, improving mothers' mental health, and returning women to the labor market after maternity leave. We're based in Kyiv. We work in central Ukraine and the west part of Ukraine. All our team is mothers. Our expertise is maternity, and team is mothers who live in Ukraine now and try to work with all of this. But important thing is that we worked before war. Now we continue, and we plan to do lots of things after victory. Our problem is traditionally, and for me, unjustly underestimated, because mothers is always about something very happy, but we really had lots of problems there in mental sphere and the economic questions with economic capacity and financial independence before, and war now enhanced all of this, but also brought us new challenges and problems, and I think we will shed light on this during our discussions as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So let's come to the discussion, because I think discussions are so important and sharing knowledge is so important. So feel free to engage. You have enough microphones? We can share. No. We need one more microphone for the speaker. So it's going to be corrected in a while. My first question would not be surprise, as our discussion today is about families and their well-being in a post-conflict scenario. Each single family were touched by this war. Each single family were impacted. But lately, more discussions are in this area. But how do you think? How did the role of women change during the war, since the start of the war, and how might it impact the future? Anyone? And Janina, do you want to start? But shortly? Would you promise me to be short?
Yes, I
Thank
promise.
you.
So, for sure, as I said, the war in Ukraine will change a lot in women's lives. This life is already changed. because the girls are going to fight, and the women take the responsibility of the family. Men are going to fight. So after the war, some of men will not return. A lot of families will live without any father, any husband. So for sure, for them, the situation will be very difficult. We saw as Polish humanitarian action in many countries after the war. They are the women who take care not only about the family, but they create a small business. They are very active. I remember in Afghanistan after 2001, when really a lot of women started to organize the NGOs in different issues. They were very active in politics, in education, and I saw it also in Somalia, where women in the refugee camps, in the very poor situation, they with a small support, they started to a small business, really very, very small, and they have some means to feed their children. So I am sure that this situation will change a lot in Ukrainian women. They will be obliged to take more responsibility. And I think that for the NGOs, it is very important to understand this process and to support them. As for example, now in Poland, they are the women, they have a lot of children, 4, 5 sometimes, and they cannot work because there is no enough support of someone who will take care of children. So it is in the future we have to think how to give them this opportunity to work and also to take care of their children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please add.
Yeah, I would like to add a few stories that I think, you know, I don't know how the Ukrainian women's role changed back in Ukraine, but I can tell you what I see working with colleagues in the humanitarian sector who are Ukrainians. I think some of the women who came over from Ukraine into Romania found employment in the humanitarian sector. And I have to say that I have rarely seen so much enthusiasm. I think for many women who, I guess, I mean, I'm not going to minimize the shock of ending up in a foreign country and being separated from the rest of your family, from your husband, from your meaningful network of friends and family. But I think that one of the coping mechanisms has been to find new meaning and new energy in pursuing work. And I work with a colleague. Her name is Maria, and then, you know, she comes in the office. She has more than one job. She comes in the office.
Maybe more than one kid?
3 kids, of course. Also professional athletes. And she comes to the office and says, you know, now I don't know if I'm a wife anymore, but I know that I have 2 other wives, and these are the other adult women that she shares a house with. And I think it's quite telling of how you know, somebody who had that place, who had played that role of a wife, now kind of understands the need and shares from her energy to the other women in her household. Yeah, it's, I think...
I add a story to this. I would love to share. I'm sorry for sharing personal stories, but I think it makes things easier and truly more true. So people are constantly asking me how I'm doing. And I'm replying that I'm living with mother of my ex-husband. So this is my current situation. And I recently brought my mom from Ukraine, so now I'm living with my ex-husband's mother and my own mother, and it's quite challenging.
A lot of mental health support that you might need.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I get that.
So all the mental health support organizations, please let me know.
But
I'm joining.
I think that if to the extent that that will be possible, and to the extent that we can do that, I think that there is this context, this displacement context actually creates opportunities for Ukrainian women, and I think we need to encourage them to be present, at least in the humanitarian sector, because this is also a transfer then. The skill that then can be transferred back into Ukraine and could help improve the reconstruction, right? And I think women will be a major player in the reconstruction
Economic
process.
player also.
And technical player.
And technical.
Technical player.
Thank you so much, Maryna.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning all you said before. And our influence is very much on Ukrainian mothers, on women with children, because regardless whether they live now abroad or in Ukraine, they got traumatized. And we need to understand that if we talk about for example, about women abroad, so this is a challenge to reorganize all their life from the scratch in different country, with different language, with difficult culture, different schools, and etc. It is very challenging to find a job because you need to choose lower position and lower salary and so on. And when we talk about mothers in Ukraine who are now in Ukraine, so these women need to adopt themselves and their children for work conditions, for air raid sirens, curfews, the right behavior during bombing, and they need to continue to feed children, comfort them, entertain them, even during blackouts. So
how do you think the role, if I ask you to identify the change, the switch in the role, what would be this switch? Where do you see it?
For me, this war has also mother's face, because women took lots of responsibilities, financial responsibility. Also, they will take a huge part in the reconstruction and the rebuilding Ukraine, also development after our victory. And they need support, attention, and special programs for them, because if we talk about for example, mental health, according to specialists, almost all Ukrainians will have some symptoms of the PTSD. Mothers have now and will have anxiety. Lots of these syndromes with different names, phantom sirens, weaknesses or participants as well. And we need to understand that when we talk about mothers, we talk about environmental of the children as well. Because if parents got traumatized, to help children, not to have need to work with them again and again, we need to work with the family comprehensively. And once more about economic question.
But we have to stop.
Okay. I have a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I know. This is a very special thing. I'm just going to face it each single time on each single panel. We do have a lot to share, so we are unstoppable in many ways. But we have a panel, so I'm going to stop you guys. I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but I have to do it. Do you think that this equality is the result, and facing my question to Anton and Svitlana, do you think that equality will be a result of this switch of the roles and would somehow change the structure of the families in Ukraine?
I think it's already been changed with this many male population deceased and yet to be deceased until the end of the war, until the Ukrainian victory. So yeah, I think naturally, women in Ukraine are special in all kinds.
Oh.
So yeah, they tend to look good even if the world is gonna be on the edge of the end. They always look good. They always care.
I think women overall, but just Ukrainian women has an ability to show it.
I didn't have opportunity to deal with women overall, but Ukrainian women that I have lots of, and it's my experience is that no matter what the conditions are, they're always at the high stake. They prefer to look good, and they do whatever they can, even over their personal own comfort, to care of children, to not only their children, all of the children. That's what I wanted to tell you, that when the war ends, when we're gonna be victorious, then there will be lots of orphans, lots of children needs to be taken care of, needs to be brought and to embraced, sort of say, and there it will be a motivation for an excessive women that are left alone and that are orphaned, so to say, by this war too. So yeah, I think that will be a huge motivation. And we as an organization, as I told you, we are aimed to enhance this interaction with bringing them closer to the governmental institutions, so they cooperate together and create this positive energy, and maybe to change the stale state of matter that we have right now.
Bringing the state is crucial.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. Upbringing should be a stateful business. That's for sure. Because, you know, that's the basis. Children is what makes a nation full and embodied.
But I will have an egg and chicken question to you and to Svitlana. Do you think that results of war are bringing new challenges to the government? Or do you think that government should manage it? It's concerning everything, concerning how we build our orphans program, how we, bring equality on the table. This happened a lot of times. But what comes first? What do you think comes first?
As from my personal and professional experience, I am with NGO institutions. I'm working for the last, 5 or 6 years. I do not think that it should be monopolized by the state, or government should be the main institution which decides everything on children. And because, for example, as our museum, as our I don't say ideology, but one of the main value, I think that this should be done established on many pillars, and state should be only one pillar among others, because civil society should play also very significant role in this process. And as we can see, for example, from the experience from the news from Russia, when a state enters this sphere, it could become disaster, and if in some cases it became disaster. So I think, of course, a state should support families, states should support children and create all the necessary
Preconditions.
Yes, environment for that, but also many other instruments should balance that, because especially in conditions of war, there is always a possibility of, ultralizing a narrative or something like that. I don't know how to call it properly.
Radicalization.
Yes, radicalizing some narratives. So to prevent that, NGO, civil society should also be aware, should also work, as I'm sure everybody here actually is doing it right now during the war.
You know, my 5 cents is that I wasn't tell about the government should overview that all, like supervise that. The only thing we as an organization and as a society, I think, want for the government is them to lend a helpful hand for those who wants to, that was about it. So that should be as
Sure, of course, only state can build enough kinder care institutions or enough schools in every district, of course, but still local authorities, also, I don't know, NGOs, foreign organizations, and so on.
Coming to a point of collaboration between government, civil society, NGOs as a third power, do you think that educating and normalizing a lot of things that are coming as a result of war, such as PTSD and all of the other types of traumas that people are getting, all of us are being touched by war. All of us are affected by war. Do you think that education is very important? And coming back to our point of who is in charge, who is in charge? Who is the point where people can get this education? Or shall we act all together? And just your point of view, and what do you think are the good examples or might be good actions to be taken in the future to educate, normalize trauma, explain how to talk to kids about war, please?
I can start because this is actually what we are doing now in this period. One of our activities, I think we, since the April or something like that, we started some online series of workshops for, we called our target audience as all adults working or living around children. So, but mostly, of course, focus on parents and teachers, because except parents, teachers are the second, biggest
influencer.
Yes, biggest influencer on children. And with teachers and with parents, we got enormous response, because teachers during this first month, they were in their small applications, they were worried a lot how not to traumatize a child more. What should we do? How do we speak about the war with children? What should we tell and what should not be told to children? And I think this approach, I think if it's done by many different organizations doing this, their small piece of education in their area or in their community or for their particular profession, it will increase general understanding of the society, how trauma-sensitive education works, how adults can help children live through the war.
Thank you. Maryna, please add.
I want to add one little task, to have opportunity to have conversation with children about the war. Parents need to understand so well their emotions and to understand if they have or not have these traumas or syndromes, because in the maternity area, mothers very often have repressed and unknowledgeable emotions. And when we need to talk, we need to understand ourselves. So we need also go to this sphere in comprehensive way to teach firstly for these emotions and feelings these parents.
But how to get them engaged? That's the question. How to normalize it? People tend to be very shy about the pain that is coming inside. Yeah. So what is the way to do it? Do you see any kind of ways? Do you know maybe examples of how to do it?
I don't know, I don't have a particular intervention to refer to, but what I'm thinking is that we've had this experience of COVID-19, again, something that we have all lived through. It's to sort of, the comparison is not about, how should I say, the scale or deepness of the hurt and of the trauma, but it is about living together as a society, a phenomenon that impacts all and changes all of our lives. And I think this is going back to this COVID crisis, I think this was an event that we have all lived through, and that was the moment when we as parents, as spouses, as children to older parents, learned to talk more about emotions, and we became a bit more mental health literate than we were prior to the crisis, to this COVID crisis.
But have we become more healthy?
No, that I doubt. But at least we have the vocabulary, and I think this is the beginning of the conversation. Like you can, I think that's what we need, the vocabulary.
I can add also from our research experience before February 24. I think for any person, adult or children, it is very important to be, for their experience to be visible, for their experience to be heard. We all are in search of acceptance, and especially when we have this hard experience of war, of displacement, of being a refugee, and so on. So when we collected our interviews before February or even after February 24, children, I think for them was very important that they can tell their story. And there is someone who is, at first it is a researcher who is listening to them, then their story could be heard through our exhibitions or educational materials. We have many cases when children came to our exhibitions after being our participant, and they were like, "Oh, that's my object, that's my story. I'm so much happier now when I see that it could help other people, other children." So we can, all of our organization, I think, can do basic, can help people with those experience to be seen and to be visible. And I think in this process, it is also important that we help ourselves as well, because it's very important for all who work in this field with this topic, in these conditions, that actually we all have our personal stories, and we should do that for ourselves as well.
Thank you so much. Great job. Any questions? We have a couple of minutes left, and I would like to have the ending speech for each speaker. Do you have any questions to be asked? Janina, please. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Please do.
I have a question to Anton. When you spoke about the evacuation of the children, we have a quite big experience, and for example, in Chechnya, sooner or later, the family, even the not very next family, look for the children from the families. They are the communities where it is impossible for them to give the child to the state. So there is no the orphanages, and sooner or later, every child has a family, and sooner or later they will look for the children. Do you have contacts? It is easy to find a child which is on your protection for the families who are looking for? How it is organized?
Janina, I must tell that nearly all the children we are evacuating are orphans. So they did not or do not have families. As such, we do want them to go back, and they will go back.
I think Janina asked you about adoption process.
Oh, adoption process. Oh, God.
Am I right?
I mean,
Yeah. So sorry. No, each child has a family. If mother and father die, there is uncle. There is the family cousin. So this is the question.
Yeah, for
Because
that.
I understand they are orphanage, but they have no father, no mother.
Yes, for that, that's a minority. Majority is from the orphanages, the institutions that where they are placed while they did not have any parents, any relatives whatsoever. That's the minority, the majority, and these children are those the other people did not care about at most. As such, of course, we are giving our full attention to them. And for the second stage, when the war ends, we plan to give them more attention, of course. But there are those, of course, who became orphan once the war began. Of course, we have all the contacts of their closer relatives, such as uncles, twice removed, whatever. Of course, we are having close contacts with them, with reporting how their relatives are doing. Some of them are not as interested as they might be, but yeah, that's what it is. I can't tell you more about that because our organization is more about gathering experience for how to deal and how to make these children feel like they are in a family already, with the people they are in, with tutors, with psychologists, with people who are more or less experienced with taking care of homeless or orphaned kids, so on.
Thank you for everything you are doing, and I would share a private story, a personal story, as we discussed before. I have a couple of good friends in the army, and each one of them shared the same thing. They said, you can survive death, like you see death closely, you can see a lot of tragedies, but kids are something that you cannot sleep with. You cannot live with that. And they said that they want to adopt a child. So I hope that the culture of adoption and the preconditions for the adoption in Ukraine will be changed, and there will be no kids of war left alone, and we all going to normalize it inside ourselves.
That's what we're working on. That's what.
Thank you for your work. Coming to the end of our conversation, if there's no questions from the audience, I would kindly ask you to end up by answering the question. This is massive tragedy, touching families, touching each of us, basically destroying the construct we had. But in everything which is destroyed, there is something to be built. So where do you personally think we shall find hope for the future? Where do you think we should find this spirit, this love to build our future in different way, coming from all we know and coming from all we have been through? So this might be the answer and your final speech. Thank you.
Can I start, please? I have a private story, maybe, for this.
Please do.
When war began, I with my kids, we went to the west of Ukraine and we adopted to the war there. And my younger son, he was 4 years on that moment. He didn't understand exactly what was happening, so we had different conversation with him. And one of them I'll remember for whole my life, because we were going to sleep and he told me, "Mom, I realized that there are no children in Russia." And I asked him why he thinks so, and he answered that there are kids in Ukraine, we are, and our army protects us. And if Russia attacks, that means that they do not have children. And at that moment, he really talked about children, but I heard that we were talking about future. The future, which one little boy, he certainly knows that we will have this future. And now it is very difficult to talk about post-conflict, but something is very clear for me and for everyone, that we will not only rebuild Ukraine after war, we will move for development, because Ukrainians are not interested only to back walls, to get walls back in that condition that they were before. We are interested in creating, developing, innovating. So that's how I feel this topic of development and post-conflict.
So your hope is in the kids?
My hope, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
I would say my hope partially in connections. Actually, when I see so many people, so many organizations who have a very big expertise in different areas, we could be not alone in this, but also share this, I don't know, fight, rebuilding, redevelopment, and so on. Share with other people. I think it's one part that helped me to go through all of this. And also, I think I have knowledge, I have experience, and I know so many people who have knowledge and experience. And I think, when I see myself, but also other people, some of them my friends, or just, I don't know, famous or not famous people. So I see that we have everything to do it in the future. Or
We are enough.
Yes, we are enough, and we are doing it now, and we just will have more possibilities after the victory, but we are doing it right now, just during the war. It's just amazing thing, because yesterday we had a event in Krakow with children from the refugee center, and I saw those mothers of those children who, had to move to another country, and they have work or something like that there, and they brought their children there, and I was observing that, and I was thinking, we are doing fine. That's my hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will ask Pani Janina to finish with where she finds hope, but I will be very much asking you to be short. Thank you.
Of course. For me, it is quite simple. I do know not know a situation in which a man would not find hope. Everyone have a strength that it is activated when necessary. I believe it, and I experience it myself.
Thank you so much.
Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава. Irina.
Hope. I think, I come from a country that has, Romania has many economic migrants in other European countries. And when they came back, either to stay or, I don't know, to visit, I think we saw how our society changed so much because of that experience and exposure and broader understanding of the world than what was just there in Romania. So, it's difficult to find positives in such a traumatic experience such as the one of displacement. But I think that it changes those who are now living outside of the borders of Ukraine. It changes them, and it changes them for the better, and it is somehow preparing them to build a better Ukraine. So obviously my hope is in Ukrainian women, and where I find a lot of inspiration, I find inspiration from them every single day. So yeah, I'm hopeful, and I think even though it's difficult to talk about opportunities in this context, I think there are.
Thank you so much. Anton?
Yeah, I think many of us would have that thought once in a while that, oh, I wish I was there when I was 7 and give this advice to my 7-year-old self. And when you see those children, orphan or not, that survived war, you think that, yeah, here's the possibility for us to give them advice, to give them our experience. I think our task as Ukrainians is to give them information, to provide them with a lesson learned so that this tragedy would never, ever repeat, and so that our sons and then grandsons, whatever, live happily ever after as we wanted in a good and well-established Ukraine. That's our task.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the participants. Thank you so much for the audience. You were such a good and involved clappers, and we hope that the hope stays with us. So my last but not least thing to say is, please take care of your mental health, because we are all part of families. But first of all, you know, put mask on yourself and then on somebody sitting next to you. So with all the respect, it's fine to be not okay. It's fine to be doing okay and okay-ish. Let's take care of each other. Please network, use this opportunity to meet each other. You listen to the speakers, come up, engage, share experience, and share the knowledge. Thank you so much, and have a nice evening.